AFTV guys, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Top 4 secured, or top 5, or whatever. It's top 10.
Top 2 secured.
Listen, top 2 secured, right? First of all, let's get into the game. Listen, what did you guys make of the game today?
A bit boring, isn't it? But 1-0 to the Arsenal.
That's what we used to enjoy over there. Highbury.
Little throwback. And do you know what? I don't pay for excitement and thrills. Otherwise, I spend my season ticket money in a gentleman's club or something. Do you know what I mean? I'm here to watch Arsenal win games of football, and that's what we've done today. We got the job done. We sealed Champions League football for next season. I'm not going to ask for anything more from the players because they had a very long season, very tough one. They had to fight through. They had to dig deep. It's been tough for us fans to watch as well at times. Certain players who maybe weren't supposed to start games, like I think Kiwior, he had to come in and step up. Players like Miles Lewis-Skelly have had to come in and step up. When Yeri's had to step up. It's been a turbulent time for certain players like Odegaard. There's been times of the season he's been absolutely crucial for us, and we've relied on him, and maybe his form hasn't been consistent, but you know he's been there for stretches when we need, and people easily forget that. There was a time we were crying for this guy to come back and back into the starting lineup, and he did, and he's held it down, and Saka's been consistent, and you know I think it's been very, very tough for everybody. And everyone's come on here and talk about a 7 out of 10 season and how, you know, we could have done better. But you know what? Just credit where credit's due.
What did you rate it out of 10?
I'd probably, you know what? Upon reflection, I think it's tough to rate now because it's still fresh and the season's not over. I remember that. We still got Southampton. So yeah, it does feel a bit disappointing, and I wish we got more out of it. But I think we'll look back on it and we'll go, do you know what? They fought hard, and I don't want to discredit the fight that these players have had to put in, and obviously injuries played a part. I believe injuries sometimes are avoidable, and maybe there's a coaching thing and maybe we need to look at giving them a few more days off and rotation. Maybe that's something we need to look at for next season. But in terms of the players, if I was a footballer and had to go through a season like that one and finish second place, you know, Champions League semi-final, we can only build on it next year, surely.
Okay, I know you were very critical of some of the fans. You were standing there, a lot of fans coming on today. I kept looking over you, just nodding your head like this, and you were moaning, and you were very critical of some fans. Why?
Two things. Firstly, my head didn't roll off. That's luckily still on my shoulders. Secondly, I'm only 5'5.5" amongst all these tall characters. Now, there's two aspects. I mean, one follow up, let's say today's game, and then the longer term, i.e. the season. On today's game, if Isak was playing, in that first half, we would have been 2 or 3-0 down. They created a lot of chances. They were really up for it. And in a sense, Raya, 10 out of 10 for saves. He kept us in the game. But 2 out of 10 for his foot distribution. I mean, it was going to Newcastle players, it's going out, etc. I think we got away with the first half. In the second half, we came back with a bit more spring and zip, and the team all round were up for it. I think the Odegaard has not been on form for the last 5-6 games, but he's really put in the effort. He's really tried. You work your way through form. So overall today, we've also stopped the voodoo. We have certain teams that we get this habit of losing to. We used to be the Villa of the day, etc. Newcastle beat us 3 times. We've now stopped that this season. At least for this season, we've stopped them. If they'd won today, then next season when we next play them, fine. People are a bit envious about Newcastle, and I definitely don't agree with Ty. Newcastle is a little bit different. They get 50,000 fans week in, week out, whatever league they're in. Leeds get lots as well, etc. The difference I have with Newcastle getting money compared to Manchester City and Chelsea, where were those fans when they were shit? Okay, whereas Newcastle fans are quite loyal. They're on the up. Give them credit. I think all this 70-year malarkey is nonsense. Give them credit. They're doing something that's very similar to us. We're getting better and better and better. And I'm going to come back to that in a moment, in the sense that when Arteta took over, where were we? You can't change a culture and the standard of a club overnight. You've got to give it some time, season after season after season. Now, I've said before, you've got 20 teams in the league. One team can be winner. One team might win the FA Cup, one team might win the Carabao Cup, one team might win the Europa League, and one team might win the Champions League. That means 15 teams every season are guaranteed to win nothing. Guaranteed. Now, actually, how often do we win a European trophy, and what happens if someone does a double? So we have roughly 17 teams don't win anything. You can't sack the manager every year. But people must take a step back and say, look at the progress we're making. We've got last year quarter-final Champions League, this year semi-final. We were consistently second. When Wenger went, people were annoyed, saying we want to be in the Champions League. We really miss it. Now we're in there. We're competing. We want to win. But it doesn't happen overnight. Who said Crystal Palace would beat Manchester City at the beginning of the season? Who said that we would be second, but Liverpool would be first, not Manchester City? The dynamics are changing. So I'm going to come back to. I don't agree with Ty on something.
I want you to just finally give it. Did you give me what mark did you give me out of 10 for the season?
I can't remember, but you know what? Right now,
Give me a mark out of 10.
right now 6.5. But I know I'll sleep on it, give it a couple of weeks, and I'll give it probably a 7.5.
All right, what are you giving it?
I'm going to give it an 8.
8. Where do you get an 8?
I knew you'd ask, right, for the following reasons. Over the last 3 or 4 seasons, it's clear progress. But unluckily, Arteta this year compared to last year, we were quite good on the injury front. You know, Liverpool have had that benefit this year. This year, Arteta has managed to get a second and semi-final in the Champions League, etc. And look at the injuries. Big name injuries out for considerable amounts of time, and he's had to work around. One mistake I found weird in January is we could have signed a striker on, even loan for 6 months. I don't get the logic. Obviously, we don't understand what's happening behind the scenes. But he's worked his squad around that and still got us there. What would have happened if those big name players were fit? Now, at the same time, people like Mourinho stepped up. People like Nwari's come through. The younger kids are coming through. It's allowed them the opportunity. I'm quite hopeful we'll go on to better things. People have got to remember, we didn't win a trophy, fine. But we haven't gone backwards. We haven't regressed. We've actually moved forwards in adversity. So please keep a picture of that perspective, and that's really important.
But just on that January signing situation, I know it seems crazy to a lot of people, but you know what? I've tried to look for the answer, and I think I found it. Like, he had only Kai Havertz fit at the time, and thought, you know what? We're going to go with Kai Havertz and just pray that he doesn't get injured. And unfortunately,
the prayers weren't answered.
It didn't go our way,
and
but
it went wrong.
But what he's guaranteed us is we have that money to now spend in the summer. So there is something
And
to
they
be.
better spend it.
And they will spend it, Robbie. And that's what he's guaranteed for us by not wasting it in the January on a striker who maybe would have ended up with 7 goals, which is exactly what Mourinho ended with. So I think they looked at it, and on the balance, they thought, you know what, we're just going to take the gamble and hope Havertz stays fit. And what it's done is it's guaranteed us the money to spend in the summer. So
One last thing. Arteta has to be cutthroat this summer. We've got 5, 6, 7 fringe players who are not going to make it. Clear them out, clear the wage bill, and it'll enable him to sign maybe 3 to 4 big players. So, for example, Zinchenko let go, I'd let go Jesus. Then you've got these players like
You can't,
Nelson.
he's injured.
Yeah, Nelson.
He's injured.
Yeah, Nelson, Tavares. There's a number of players that we've got loaned out. Let them go. Clear the decks.